A bride welcomed with open arms, but was it love or a trap? Lovett's dream life turned into a nightmare when an old woman warned her, "You were never meant to be here." Then, she found a buried necklace, evidence of a deadly family secret. Now, the spirits are coming, and the full moon is near. Can she escape, or will she be the next sacrifice? Watch till the end to find out. Lovett's new life felt like a dream. Ever since she married Toby, she had been welcomed into his family with open arms. His parents adored her, and his younger siblings treated her like their own. Their home was grand but warm, and every day was filled with love and laughter. Lovett had always heard of the struggles many women faced with their in-laws, but she felt blessed. She had no worries. On a bright Saturday morning, Lovett prepared for a family outing with her husband. As she stepped outside their gated mansion, she noticed an old woman standing across the street, her eyes fixed on her. Lovett felt a sudden chill despite the sun's warmth. Something about the woman's gaze unsettled her. But before she could think too much of it, Toby called her back inside, and she quickly forgot the encounter, at least for the moment. Later that evening, Lovett took a short walk alone to clear her mind. The day had been lovely, filled with laughter and family bonding, but something about the old woman's stare had lingered in her thoughts. She turned a corner, and there she was again, the same woman, standing beneath a flickering streetlight. "You carry a debt you do not know of," the woman said in a hoarse voice. "A debt passed through generations. It is time to pay." Lovett's heart pounded. "I don't understand. What debt?" The woman shook her head. "You will soon know. Be careful, child. The past never forgets." Before Lovett could ask more, the woman turned and disappeared into the darkness. A cold fear settled in Lovett's chest as she hurried home. She had no idea what the woman meant, but she sensed that her perfect life was about to change. Lovett tried to dismiss the woman's words, but they clung to her thoughts like a shadow. At dinner, she watched Toby and his family laughing, their voices filling the grand dining hall. Everything felt normal, yet the woman's warning gnawed at her. "Are you okay, my love?" Toby asked, noticing her unease. "I'm fine," she lied, forcing a smile. She didn't know how to tell him that a stranger had spoken of a mysterious death. Would he believe her? Or would he laugh it off as a meaningless superstition? That night, as Lovett lay in bed, she dreamt of chains rattling in the dark, of faceless figures whispering her name. She woke up in a cold sweat, her heart pounding. Something was wrong. And deep down, she knew it had just begun. The next morning, Lovett convinced herself that the old woman was just a mad stranger. But as she stepped into the garden, she saw something that made her blood freeze, a necklace, half buried in the soil. It was old, its golden chain rusted, its pendant shaped like an unfamiliar symbol. Yet, something about it felt familiar. She picked it up, her fingers tingling. "Lovett." She spun around, expecting to see Toby. But no one was there. The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment, it almost sounded like someone whispering her name. Lovett clutched the necklace tightly. She didn't believe in ghosts, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was trying to reach her. Determined to get answers, Lovett approached her mother-in-law, Mama Toby, that afternoon. "Mama," she began hesitantly, "has anyone in this family ever spoken of the death?" Mama Toby's hands froze over the yam she was peeling. She turned to Lovett, her eyes unreadable. "Who told you that?" Lovett hesitated. Before she could answer, Mama Toby reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. "Some things are better left alone, my daughter. For your own peace, don't ask again." Lovett felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Whatever this secret was, her in-laws knew about it. And if they were afraid to speak of it, then it was something far worse than she had imagined. Toby noticed Lovett on his later that night and wrapped his arms around her. "What's wrong?" She hesitated before finally whispering, "Do you know about a family debt?" His body stiffened against hers. A moment of silence passed before he sighed. "Lovett, listen to me. My family's past is complicated, but it has nothing to do with us. Let it go." "But no," his voice was firm. "I love you. That's all that matters." Lovett wanted to believe him, but her heart told her otherwise. The old woman's warning, the buried necklace, Mama Toby's reaction, it was all connected. And she was determined to find out how. The following morning, Lovett decided to take matters into her own hands. She remembered an elderly seer in town known for revealing hidden truths. If her in-laws wouldn't give her answers, she would find them elsewhere. The oracle's hut smelled of burning incense, the air thick with mystery. The woman, wrinkled and wise, studied Lovett with piercing eyes. "You seek the truth," the oracle murmured. "But truth comes with a price." Lovett nodded. "Tell me." The oracle took her hands and closed her eyes. Moments later, her breath hitched. When she spoke, her voice was grave. "You were never meant to be part of this family." Lovett's blood ran cold. "The debt is older than you," the oracle continued, her voice barely a whisper. "Long ago, a promise was made. A sacrifice was owed. But the family found a way to escape their fate until now." Lovett's hands trembled. "What do you mean?" The oracle's eyes darkened. "A firstborn wife. That was the cost. Each generation, the firstborn's wife must pay. But your marriage was not foreseen. You were never meant to be the one." Lovett felt dizzy. Was this why her in-laws had welcomed her so easily? Had she unknowingly stepped into someone else's fate? She rose abruptly. "How do I break it?" The oracle looked at her with pity. "Some debts can never be erased, child. Only paid." Lovett left the hut, her heart hammering. She had walked into a perfect life, but now she realized her happiness had a price. And it was only a matter of time before she had to pay. Lovett returned home, her heart pounding. The oracle's words echoed in her mind, "A firstborn wife must pay." Was that why she had been accepted so easily into the family? She looked at Toby as he laughed with his younger siblings, unaware of the storm raging inside her. That night, she couldn't sleep. If the family had truly avoided this debt for generations, what would happen now that she had unknowingly stepped into it? She needed answers. She needed proof. The next day, Lovett searched through the family library. Chief Adikana, Toby's father, had an extensive collection of documents about their lineage. If there was any truth to this generational debt, it had to be recorded somewhere. Hours passed before she found an old leather-bound book. As she flipped through its pages, her hands trembled. Names of the family's firstborn sons and their wives were listed, each wife's name was marked with a symbol. Lovett traced the marks. Some had crosses beside them, some had a different symbol she didn't recognize. Then she reached the most recent names, Toby Adikana, Lovett Adikana. Beside her name was an empty space. A chill ran down her spine. Whatever had happened to the women before her, had not yet happened to her. Lovett turned the pages frantically until she reached a passage written in faded ink. "In the year of our fathers, a pact was made. To save the bloodline, the first wife shall be given in place of the son. The debt shall pass through generations, and when the time comes, it shall be claimed." Lovett gasped. The stories were true. She was the next in line. She slammed the book shut and ran to find Toby. She had to confront him. But would he even believe her? "Toby, we need to talk," Lovett said, her voice shaking. He looked up from his laptop. "What's wrong?" She hesitated, then placed the old book in front of him. "Tell me this isn't true." Toby's face darkened as he read the passage. Then, he closed the book and pushed it away. "Lovett, where did you find this?" "That's not important." "Did you know about this?" He sighed. "It's just an old story. My grandfather wrote it. It doesn't mean anything." Lovett grabbed his hands. "Then why is my name there? Why were all the other wives marked?" Toby pulled away. "This is ridiculous." But Lovett saw it, the flicker of fear in his eyes. He knew something. That evening, Lovett confronted Mama Toby. "Mama, tell me the truth. What happened to the wives before me?" Mama Toby's face paled. She turned away, stirring a pot on the stove as if she hadn't heard. "Mama, please," Lovett begged. "I need to know." After a long silence, Mama Toby finally spoke. "I had a sister-in-law once. Her name was Funmi. She married Toby's uncle. She disappeared." Lovett's breath hitched. "Disappeared?" Mama Toby nodded. "One day, she went into the forest for a ceremony. She never returned. They told us it was tradition, that she had fulfilled her role." Lovett's stomach twisted. The death wasn't just a myth. It was real. And she was next. Lovett couldn't shake the terror creeping into her bones. If Toby's uncle's wife had vanished, what had happened to the others? She spent the next few days searching for information, talking to village elders. She learned that for generations, the firstborn son's wife had always gone missing. No one asked questions. No one dared to. It was as if they had been erased from existence. The realization hit her hard. She was living on borrowed time. One night, Lovett noticed something strange in the mirror. A faint symbol had appeared on her shoulder, one that hadn't been there before. She scrubbed at it, but it wouldn't fade. Panic surged through her. She needed help. She needed to find a way out before it was too late. But who could save her from a death written in blood? Lovett decided she had no choice, she had to leave. That night, she packed a bag and waited for Toby to fall asleep. But as she reached for the doorknob, a voice stopped her. "You can't run from this." She spun around to see Mama Toby standing in the hallway, her face shadowed. "They'll find you." Lovett's hands trembled. "I have to try." Mama Toby sighed. "Then you must do it before the full moon. That is when the death is claimed." Lovett's heart pounded. The full moon was just days away. Desperate for a solution, Lovett sought out an old man known as the Hunter, an elder who was said to have knowledge of the spirit world. If anyone could help, it was him. When she arrived at his hut deep in the forest, he studied her carefully. "You carry the mark," he said. Lovett nodded. "Can it be removed?" The hunter sighed. "There is only one way. But it requires great sacrifice." Lovett swallowed hard. "What kind of sacrifice?" He looked at her grimly. "A life for a life." Lovett's blood ran cold. "You mean, someone has to die in my place?" The hunter nodded. "The debt must be paid. Either by you, or another." Lovett felt sick. Could she really ask someone else to suffer for her? But as she thought of Toby, her love for him warring with the fear in her heart, she realized something. If she did nothing, she would die. And she wasn't ready to die. Lovett returned home, her heart pounding. She had been ready to confront Toby, but nothing could have prepared her for the revelation he was about to share. "Toby, I know the truth," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know about the sacrifices. I know what's supposed to happen to me." Toby's face fell. He sat down heavily, rubbing his temples. I never wanted you to find out this way. Lovett felt her knees go weak. So it's true. He sighed deeply. Yes. But there's more. The debt, it was never meant to be yours. Lovett froze. What do you mean? Toby looked up, his eyes filled with sorrow. The original promise wasn't for the firstborn wife. It was for the firstborn child. Lovett's breath caught. You mean? Toby nodded grimly. I was the one meant to die. Lovett felt as if the air had been knocked out of her lungs. Toby, if the death was meant for you, then why? My grandfather changed it, Toby whispered. He couldn't bear to lose his firstborn son, so he made a new pact. He offered the wives instead. And the spirits, they accepted. Lovett's hands trembled. So every woman who married into this family. Toby looked away. They were taken in my place. A sharp pain shot through Lovett's chest. Her life had been traded before she even knew it. And now, the time had come for the spirits to collect their due. Lovett felt sick. There has to be another way. The hunter said the debt could be transferred, right? Toby shook his head. No. It's been sealed for generations. The only way to stop it is, he hesitated. Lovett leaned in. Tell me. Toby swallowed hard. If I give myself willingly, the debt will be settled. But if I refuse, the spirits will take you instead. Lovett's heart pounded. The love of her life was willing to sacrifice himself for her. But how could she let him? The night of the full moon was drawing near. The entire family was eerily quiet, as if they all knew what was coming but refused to speak about it. Lovett refused to sit back and accept her fate. If there was even the slightest chance of breaking the curse, she had to take it. She returned to the hunter, desperate for another solution. There must be another way, she pleaded. The hunter studied her for a long moment. There is one. Lovett's eyes widened with hope. Tell me. He hesitated. You must find the original covenant and destroy it before the moon reaches its peak. Lovett frowned. Where is it? The hunter's face darkened. Buried with the firstborn who made the deal. Lovett's blood ran cold. That meant she would have to desecrate a grave. With no time to waste, Lovett and Toby sneaked into the old family burial ground. The graves stretched out under the moonlight like silent witnesses to the past. This is insane, Toby muttered, but he didn't stop her. Lovett located the tombstone of Africantales I, the man who had made the original pact. She grabbed a shovel and began to dig, sweat mixing with dirt as she walked frantically. Then her shovel hit something hard. A wooden box. Lovett's breath hitched. This is it. She pried it open and gasped. Inside was an ancient scroll, its ink faded but still legible. It bore the exact words of the agreement, the names of all who had been sacrificed. Toby reached for it, but the moment his fingers touched the paper, the wind howled violently, and a deep, guttural voice echoed around them. The debt is eternal. The ground trembled. The air grew thick with an unnatural presence. Lovett clutched the scroll. We have to destroy it now. Toby grabbed the lighter and flicked it on. Just as he brought the flame to the parchment, a force knocked him back. Lovett screamed as ghostly figures materialized, their hollow eyes staring straight at her. One stepped forward, its voice low and menacing. The debt cannot be undone. Lovett's grip tightened on the scroll. Watch me. She struck a match and dropped it. The parchment caught fire instantly. A deafening roar filled the air as the spirits shrieked in agony. The ground split open, and a dark mist soared upward, vanishing into the night. Then, silence. The curse was broken. As the first rays of sunlight stretched across the sky, Lovett and Toby stood in stunned silence. The family graveyard was eerily still. Toby turned to her. "Is it over?" Lovett nodded slowly. The weight that had suffocated her for days was finally gone. When they returned home, Mama Toby met them at the door. Tears filled her eyes. "I felt it," she whispered. "The curse, it's gone." Lovett exhaled, feeling hope for the first time in weeks. She had fought fate and won. As Toby wrapped his arms around her, she knew one thing for certain: her life was truly her own now. And nothing would ever take it away from her again. Now let's discuss about the lessons from this story. This story teaches us that the past always catches up, and secrets don't stay buried forever. Blind trust can be dangerous, and questioning what seems too perfect can save you. Courage and determination are key to breaking free from generational curses. Sometimes, survival requires making tough choices, and true change only comes through action and bravery. Now, tell us in the comment section, what was your favorite moment in the story, and what lesson did you learn from it? Secondly, do you believe generational curses are real? Why or why not?